But yeah, we have a discussion whether we are entrepreneurs or advisors. We are here to address the challenges that entrepreneurs are facing. We have in the room our panel from IBASA, from SEDA, and from the Entrepreneurial Planning Institute, the EPI, which I am from. In the room also, Rashida, if you can put on your camera, and Tobeka, the two of them are also from the EPI as part of our team. Just to say hello to everyone in the room. I think I'm on gallery view now, so everyone should be able to, should be aware that in the webinar format of Zoom, you view what the host is broadcasting. So sorry guys, you can't choose what you see, Johan and Modise. Mondi, welcome. Wabisa, welcome on this Friday, first Friday of the month. Business Clinic. My name is Christoph. I'm from the EPI. I'm with my colleagues from IBASA and SEDA. I'll first introduce our organizational committee, if I can put it that way. Mercy Moletsame from IBASA and Bonnie Bukelwa from SEDA. Mercy and Bonnie, if you can unmute, I will ask that you briefly share why IBASA and SEDA is involved in the Business Owner Clinic. Mercy, can we start with you from IBASA?
Well, yes. Although briefly prompt, good morning, everybody. I'm Mercy Moletsane. I'm a member and a board member at IBASA. And as you all know, IBASA is a custodian really of the small and medium enterprise ecosystem, with the vision in mind of advocating for small business owners, but also ensuring that they are adequately qualified and certified to do the work that they do and also specialize in their respective areas. What brings IBASA here is the partnership that we have in place with EPI and SEDA, which has been very fruitful, as many of you may know. But I think moreover, the Biz Clinics really have been fruitful, collaborative engagements as they give business owners a fair opportunity to understand the value proposition of the aforementioned entities, but moreover, how you can also, as a business owner, benefit from engaging on these platforms and also becoming a member there too. Thank you so much.
Great stuff. Rebecca, you hosted a CPD webinar the other day. We had 240 odd people attending. So this business clinic is another iteration, specifically focusing on the questions that entrepreneurs may have as opposed to practitioners. Bonnie, so SEDA is working with advisors more than only the business advisors that we have in the room that we'll introduce to you just now. Would you like to do the same in terms of SEDA's involvement, why you are seeing this as an important initiative?
Okay, thank you, Christoph. Good afternoon, everybody. Everyone, my name is Bonnie Mugala from SEDA Learning Academy. Just to give you a brief background on the need for this Biz Clinic webinars, is that we started off as a partnership between IBASA, SEDA, and API, where we were intended to capacitate the small business development practitioners, and we started off well, but we realized that along the way there were some small business owners who felt that that platform was not catering for their need as the small business owners. So hence there was that call that we will host such a platform whereby they could come and raise their concerns, with the hope that our business advisors from SEDA and IBASA could respond to those concerns by way of providing some advice and assistance regarding that. That is why we're here today. We do this, as Christopher said, that every first Friday of the month. So I've been continuing with this, and we're still continuing. Thank you so much. You're all welcome, guys. Let's all be part of this. Thank you.
No, thanks, Bonnie, and thanks, SEDA, for the good work that you're doing in supporting entrepreneurs. I got to know many business advisors that are staff members, team members of IBASA. Louise Khadebe and Sanelisiwe Mfeka is with us today. I have not met you guys before, I think, before today. So nice meeting you. We are all here in the ecosystem supporting entrepreneurs and wanting to see small businesses grow. So, and I think that's quite important for us to just remind ourselves that this BizClinicZA initiative, by the way, if you want to introduce this to other entrepreneurs or other people that may want to join us every first Friday of the month, you can ask that they go to BizClinic.co.za. I'll ask Rashida to quickly copy that for us into the text chat. So you can click on that, you can register there, you'll get a notification. If there's a new person, their website explains what it is about. And if they put their email in there, they'll get the email when they should be told about the next event. I see Zoliswa is also joining us now from the Eastern Cape. Zoliswa, if you can maybe just tilt your camera forward slightly, we can see you better. We'll speak to you just now. In terms of what we want to achieve, we want to take it theme by theme or question by question. So we ask that we are prompt and respectful to each other in that. You must use the Q&A button. So if you look at your Zoom window, you'll see at the bottom there's a Q&A button. If you click on that button, there's space for you to type, and you can type in your question there. If you're an entrepreneur or if you're a practitioner and you are doing so on behalf of a client or someone else, you can also do so. We'll allow about 2 minutes. We can bring you in to speak to. In fact, if you want to speak more about the question that you're asking, and we'll ask our advisors in the room to then address the questions that are coming. Just a disclaimer to be clear about it, sort of we don't have the full picture here. If you want to follow advice, you better familiarize yourself wider than just what we share here, but we'll freely share our ideas and what we can direct you specifically on our experience as business advisors. The business advisors in the room are here because they are very experienced. You can follow us in terms of the WhatsApp group for invitations, bit.ly/BizClinic WhatsApp. We'll take you to that WhatsApp group and you'll get the notices there. We don't post anything else there. Or if there's a question that you have, you can do so at info@bizclinic.co.za. So perhaps, Rashida, if you don't mind just pasting those links into the text chat too, so if anyone wants to follow that. But what we are here for is the questions and discussing the potential solutions to those challenges that entrepreneurs are facing. And for that, I'm very happy to say that we've got 3 business advisors in the room. In fact, more. I'm one too. Tobeka's one too. Mercy is one too. And I'm sure, Bonnie, you sometimes fill that role too. But we've got the 3 from the branches of SEDA in the room that we specifically want to introduce. I'm going to ask that each of you very shortly just say where you are from, what kind of clients or industries you mostly focus on, and perhaps if you can just share something what you enjoy most about your job in working with entrepreneurs. So let's start with Sanelisiwe.
Okay. How are you guys doing? Hello, can everybody hear me? Okay,
We can hear you well.
Yes.
Okay, my name is Sanelisiwe Mfeka. I am a business advisor here at SEDA at the Pietermaritzburg branch. I started working with SEDA in 2021, January 2021, but I have in total 8 years experience in enterprise development. I was in Johannesburg working for a small business consulting firm before coming here. Yeah, what else? I don't know. Do you guys want me to explain what my role entails?
What do you enjoy most? What do you enjoy most about your role?
What I enjoy most is that, you are interacting with completely different businesses in completely different sectors. It can be a challenge at times, but so there is always something new to learn, okay? I know people come here to see me and expect me to have answers for them, but sometimes answers come from the conversations that we have with the clients. They might already have the answers for their businesses, because it's impossible for a person to know everything. So what I mostly do is just ask questions. They tend to guide them, which is more of a coaching approach in my first interactions with the clients, just so that at the end of the meeting, they understand where this journey could lead to, or what the expectations should be when they are seeking assistance from SEDA. Yeah, but yeah, and then yes, I love that about my job, interacting with the different people. But of course, there are limitations in terms of resources, so it can be a challenge. I know that some people might say, yeah, but I've been to SEDA and had to wait a couple of months before there was any action taken. Yeah, unfortunately, those are just challenges that we have to continue trying to work around. So yeah, but I love my job all in all, and I hope that today's session I'll be able to contribute something meaningful to all the entrepreneurs that are here, and also just to learn from my peers as well. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. You're there at the forefront of delivering support to entrepreneurs.
I am. So I'm at the
forward to
core.
learning from your experience too. Louis, shall we go next to you? I must just quickly say, Louis, there's only one place that's more beautiful than in Mpumalanga. And that is Cape Town.
Is it? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, colleagues. Let me introduce myself. My name is Pumlani. Although I mean, like I was captured as Louis, but I prefer to be called Pumlani. Pumlani Hateb. I'm a business advisor here at SEDA Kangala branch in Mpumalanga. Basically, like you indicated, Christoph, that I'm at the front desk of assisting like in our SMMEs. In terms of experience, I've been in this space in development and support of SMMEs. Prior to me joining SEDA, I was with IBASA Small Business Group Credit, where I was basically assessing like in the credit applications that were sent from the branch. Yeah, I think for the better part of my career, I've been in the space of SMME development and support. And it's a space that I'm enjoying. You know what the Chinese say, good to succeed in life, you have to do what you love most. So what I love about my job, what I'm doing, it's seeing that being able maybe like in 2.1 or one of your client that you assisted when maybe like they realized in their business objectives and goals, and to be able to sit back with no, I contributed to that the development and success of that particular SMME. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Also looking forward to learn from your insights. And then lastly, but not least, Zolis, I was there in your province last week, close to Port St. John's. So welcome today. Would you also like to introduce yourself quickly? And before we get into some questions and answers. So, but just by the way, to remind everyone before Zoliswa goes, if you click on the Q&A button, if there is a theme or a topic that you've noticed that we can perhaps address and discuss in terms of practical solutions for entrepreneurs to follow or for practitioners to support them too, you can do so. Or if there's a challenge or a success event that you would like to share with us for discussion, please use the Q&A button to do so. We will focus on those first. If there are stuff in the text chat, we'll also pick up on that. But just put your question there, that by the time that we're done with introductions, we've got a theme to jump onto. But before we do so, Zoliswa, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for being late. I had challenges in connection. I'm in a rural area here. I am Zoliswa Matsaulana, Alfred Nzo branch in Eastern Cape, a business advisor. Before working for SEDA, I was working for a bank, two different types of banks, FNB and IBASA, but still in enterprise in the banking industry. Yes. I'm also one of those business advisors who's passionate about her job, taking one client, holding hand, and making sure that there is a success story out of whatever intervention that I've assisted them with. That's me in a nutshell. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So we have some familiar names in the room. I just want to say hello to Sonwabo, who's a business advisor in Kailicha. Sonwabo, I'm sure you've got a client or two that's sitting with a challenge that we can explore. I've got no questions in the Q&A. Looking forward to some of you putting a question there. It doesn't need to be the question that you have. It could be a question that someone else has, or a challenge that you've noticed is common that you think we can share in terms of finding solutions. This is what we are here for. It's kind of an open forum for discussing and finding common solutions. It's in that collaboration that we can find perhaps answers to questions that otherwise remain unanswered. So it cannot be that all 40 of us in the room have nothing to ask or to comment about. I know some of you, Musa, you are not a guy that keeps your opinions to yourself, I know. Karabo, nice to see you here too. Johan, Ivan, Guy, so I'm not sure who Oceans Meet TCC is, but we can maybe find out what your name is, not only the business's name. Winston, we can take the manufacturing issue on first just now. Let's hear, is there really an easy way to protect my mental health from the current market environment and private dealing with the public sector managers? Is Ocean Meet, if you want to speak more about that and perhaps tell us who you are, we will allow you to speak, Ocean Meet. We've had you on before, and I can't remember what your name is because we sorted that out at that point in time, but you can introduce yourself again if you want to. If you want to speak.
Good afternoon, Christoph. My name is Thabo.
Thabo, welcome.
Yes, I'm from the Eastern Cape, and currently I can't speak. I'm at a library, so I can't talk much at this time.
Okay, but we are going to discuss this thing about staying sane in a hostile environment. So let's start with Sanelizwe. So if you can't speak, that's fine. We'll mute you, and you can listen in. Sanelizwe or Louis or Zolisa, have you had a client recently that had that kind of challenge, or how would you respond to someone asking? Any of you can indicate if you would like to proceed to answer that question.
Just a second, Christoph. I think I missed the actual question. So if you could just...
We are operating in a hostile environment. You know, we are dealing with people that are not always friendly, especially in the public sector. Sometimes the managers are not friendly, says Thabo. How can we stay sane in a hostile environment?
Yeah, I don't know if I should be blunt with this, but I always say that once you get to a point where you tell yourself that you are going to encounter challenges, and we always say that not every door you knocked on is going to be open. So dealing with the challenge of meeting on is going to be open. So dealing with the challenge of hello, there's an echo.
I think that's resolved now.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm saying the only way to get around that is by you always train yourself to emotional intelligence. You need to develop yourself in that aspect as well if you are going to be involved in business, because not everybody you're going to meet is looking out for your best interest, and not everybody you meet will care or will see things from your perspective or understand what it is you're trying to tell them or what it is you're trying to do. So I don't know. I think the only response in terms of that, if you want to protect your mental health, develop emotional intelligence. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with business, but in every aspect of your life, you do need to develop that.
Yeah. Steel yourself, be prepared, create your capacity to. I'm tempted to ask Tobeka to add a comment here, Tobeka. I know there's a reason for your camera. I mean, come on. So
Please
perhaps,
do,
perhaps
Christoph.
Tobeka, if you want to add a phrase or two there, it would be appreciated.
Yeah, mental health is a very interesting thing. In a state where everyone's going to say, oh, everything is mental health, mental health. And it's because now we have the language for it. In the past, we didn't have language and it wasn't okay to talk about it. So number one, I just feel like I need to share that a little bit. One way to also prepare your mental health or be around is to be around people that are supportive. If we are around, most of us as entrepreneurs, most of our family members, it's a few of us who come from homes that are entrepreneurial. That's different. But most of us come from a mindset or an environment where you work for someone. So you are against the grain of normality. So you won't have positivity or encouragement. Instead, you'll be put down, and that putting down impacts your mind. So I would highly encourage you all to make sure you are around good people, healthy people, but healthy in a way where it's positivity, it's recognizing the challenge and talking about being an entrepreneur, wanting to change the environment, and try to not let the negative voices pull you down, because it's rough. And always take care of your health, your mental health, because I am just going through something, and it's funny, when you're in it, you don't recognize you're in it. You think you're fine, and then suddenly something happens to you, your body, your mind, your inability to, your frustration, you get irritated. Suddenly you're short with people. You start asking yourself, where's this coming from? I'm not usually like this. So I'm sharing this from a personal viewpoint, right? You start picking up your pattern of behavior. That's when you start thinking, hey, let me speak to someone. And then suddenly you are taken care of. And then you're like, oh, I feel better. So, and for me, it was just my thyroid kicked in, and there's these things. So I'm just sharing this at a personal viewpoint. I know, Christoph, that's not what you asked for, but I think we need to be honest with each other and not make it seem like it's all pup and fleeced. But anyway, so
yeah, we are, Tobeka. We are 40 people in the room. Most of them are positive-minded people. So I think these kind of forums are helpful for us too. So the opportunities are there. We can make use of them. So, Tabo, I hope that helps. Louis, you also, or Pulani, I'll call you as you said I should. Although your name tag says Louis, so each time I look at you, you also had your hand up around this issue.
Yes, thank you very much, Christoph. Actually, I wanted to add to what my colleague mentioned, Samugeli Siwe, that we needed to understand, like when we prepared this in entrepreneurs, with the entrepreneurial journey, it's a grumpy journey. One needs to, it calls for a strong character. Like one of my colleagues indicated that you need to mentally be prepared and to be disciplined as well. And to mention also that not everyone that you'll be interacting with along the journey of your entrepreneurship will be at will have the interest of your business, of yourself at heart. So it basically goes to your mental preparedness and understanding that in the journey itself, during the initial phase of your entrepreneurial journey, there will be challenges, but then how you survive, it's going to draw on your character, in the character that one requires to be a successful entrepreneur. The disciplined, you need to be disciplined and then be confident. I think that it might minimize, I mean, like in some of the negative, maybe like in impact that might affect you mentally when you're going forward, I mean, like with your business objectives.
Yeah. Indeed. Thanks, Pumlani. I see that Mondi is asking if SEDA has got any wellness support events or programs. Any of you know of any wellness? Bonnie, I know that Learning Academy is also taking a wider view at entrepreneurship as not only kind of the hard skills. Is SEDA offering any wellness programs? Any of you know? We don't know. We'll have to find out.
I think Mr. Mbulelwa will be the right person to answer that one. I'm not aware of a wellness program that we have for the clients, except for the staff.
Bonnie, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I think the response that Lou has given is what I was going to say as well, that we've not yet looked into that, as there's never been any demand regarding that.
Yeah.
Remember that, excuse me, what we do from the Learning Academy perspective is to respond to the needs of the clients, which is the small enterprises and the business practitioners. So we had any, call for us to come up with the course that is aimed at addressing those challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe there's a need that we can start address. Mondi, you've got a comment to make around that?
Hi, Christoph. Hi, everyone. I'll always be that guy every session to bring views that might not be popular. So just a thought, we're talking mental health issues, but it's very concerning, and I would love to look at this as an opportunity, not for SEDA, but all of us in the entrepreneurial space, to say, we don't need to wait for a Tobeka to cry to say we need to have wellness. We saw, who's this guy, the Skinny Boo, the socks guy, like broke down on TV a couple of years ago. I think it was on SABC, to say he needs money, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's something that we need to look at. And then just to give a bit of background, we just started a program that we piloted with a few Americans through one of my organizations. And on that program, it's an ordinary program that everyone does. It's an accelerator. But the one element that I requested was for us to have a life coach. And the results that we've seen, because we all know, we all acknowledge the loneliness of entrepreneurship, and we can't separate the soft part of things. So we introduced life coaching from, two people that have NLP. And I can tell you, Christoph, the results from entrepreneurs, it has seen them, be more open, and the businesses are, growing. So it's just a thought, it might not work for everyone, but I'm from corporate. There's a reason why we have wellness in corporate, but I think in the entrepreneurial space, if we can bring that, we will help. We have seen entrepreneurs, they get funding, they end up going to misuse the money. We see a lot of entrepreneurs, it's Friday, the alcohol is there, but if we bring the soft part, it's because people are literally drowning. And in such platforms, we end up lashing out at the Christophs of this world, not because we want to, but people are so frustrated. If we bring wellness, it will help. It's just a thought, but thank you for the great session as always.
Thanks. It's true. I sort of that we need to look after ourselves first to be able to give to others. And I suppose the same goes with our teams, you know, sort of in terms of how we work with our teams, the awareness of people as people, not only as employees. So, I mean, there's perhaps kind of the softer issues are recognized quite widely, as you noted, in corporate, you know, sort of executive coaching and so on has become quite prominent ways of supporting. But I do know that SEDA is supporting mentorship, you know, which sometimes goes into the space of not only the technical support, but also the personal development support. So it is not 100% true that SEDA is doing nothing in making it possible for entrepreneurs to have access to kind of coaching or life support that goes beyond just the technical side of the business. I know so because I'm also a service provider to SEDA, and I've seen such projects happening, you know, sort of. So shall we close that topic for now? Zoliswa, did you have something else? Mercy, you still want to add something? You can unmute and speak.
Okay, thank you, Christoph. Yes, I would like to add a comment or two, perhaps even a penny for many of us in this forum to consider. I think one of the things that we have diminished, especially after lockdown, is that a lot of entrepreneurs are working in isolated spaces. So it oftentimes makes it very difficult to isolate one's challenges as it relates to business, because they find themselves inadvertently operating in the very space that they live. So you're not able to isolate your problems, as it were. And I think to that end, there is this pervasive and ongoing challenge of relating business with personal with business. So it would bring us to a conversation of saying, how then does one distinguish where to latch on for help? To that end, I would like to also add that I think that the word or the terminology coach is being overused and has been overextended. And in fact, it probably is not being properly distinguished in the sense that people are able to identify where their challenges are and which coaches to seek out, you know, help from. So you've got people who, for example, deal with psychological challenges. You've got coaches who can help you transition out of your quote unquote brick and mortar professional title and can help you transform if that is maybe where you've got a calling or you've got another purpose that you feel called for, but you're not necessarily seeking wellness in its quote unquote definition. So I think that, you know, what this forum perhaps would help us consider is the fact that there are different types of coaches, and also
Yes, you can continue.
Okay, there are different types of coaches, and maybe it's bringing us to a junction where even as business owners ourselves, we can, in how we seek out specialists and individuals that come into forums where they help us understand ourselves better and how to identify our challenges, so that we fall out of this conflation, not lacking the ability of isolating our personal challenges and confusing them for how we recognize them and how they relate to our business challenges. Is we need to start redefining who coaches are, what their specialities are, and how we can filter them in with respect to how we need to identify our individual challenges.
Yeah, definitely, to know what kind of support it is that you need, and if you are one that is supporting, also to know what kind of support it is that you're providing. You can't be a solution for everyone. Bonnie, you want to add to that? I know SEDA is definitely working on the professionalization of the industry and how support is provided.
Yeah. I've just been scrolling through the courses that we've got as a learning academy, and I've realized that there's a course that we once delivered. We developed a thing. It must have been 6 or 7 years ago, and it was never used that much, but it's still there. We did develop a course on self-mastery. So that course deals with, such things as stress and all that related stuff. Yes, indeed, we do have a course on that. I just wanted to rectify that.
Yeah. So maybe if there's wide enough need, we can see how we can resuscitate something like that. But shall we move on? We've got Lawrence and Johan speaking about manufacturing. So that's a bit of the opposite side of things, perhaps the hardness of business, making stuff. Winston is saying for local manufacturing, sort of what kind of assistance is there, especially around import replacement, sort of how we can promote the local economy, what kind of assistance can businesses that are in the manufacturing industry get. And Johan is saying as a family member with a manufacturing business that has less than the business is less than 1 year old, and they're finding it difficult to access funding. So, sort of what kind of support can they get in that regard too, if they're new manufacturing businesses? Lack of finance, their cash flow is under pressure. What options are out there for businesses that are less than 12 months old in the manufacturing space? So Winston's question is a bit wider, sort of around import replacement and assistance that people can get. And Johan is quite specifically focusing on manufacturing businesses that are young, that are just started out. I don't know who wants to tackle that first. I know that we are working, SEDA is working with manufacturing businesses. Any of you that have ideas around falling outside of our focus areas a bit, the industries that we're working in? Well, we can of course throw it back to you. Both Johan and Winston are knowledgeable people, so let's hear from you guys. If I can find your names, if you are able to talk, Winston, Johan, either of you, we can frame better for us to understand. Winston?
Hi, are you able to hear me, Christoph?
We are always glad if we can hear your voice.
Thanks. Good to be here. I've missed a few sessions. So I've had a few things going on, unfortunately. You are able to hear, okay, is that correct?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. If you don't mind, can I just make a comment on your previous point? Just a brief comment.
Yeah.
I do a lot of mentoring, facilitating, training, coaching via SEDA Academy, SEDA TSIBA, the Academy, and they provide fantastic courses. I'm an independent consultant for them, so I just work on an as and when basis. As I said, I do quite a bit of training. I assess the papers as well, the exam papers, and the courses they offer are really fantastic. And I'm bringing this up not to punt the academy, but to focus on the fact that with the whole STL skills development levy, you have your corporates funding the training of small businesses in South Africa. So they receive funding from some big companies, and then they get entrepreneurs and they train them, and they do an excellent job. I do a lot of EQ courses as well, emotional quotient, and this is what we were speaking about. Your EQ being getting your entrepreneurs mentally ready for the world of business. And it's really fantastic. It's all part of the whole NVC projects, the new venture creation accredited programs. And it's really fantastic. I also do the finance and manufacturing and a couple other things. But this is a really critical part of it because, as you guys said, the business world itself is not a personal world. You need to really be able to manage the two extremely well. Otherwise, you'll have serious mental issues. But anyway,
what you say, Winston, is important because we should not only look towards the SEDAs of the world to help where there's help needed. There's a much wider environment through which we can source support too as entrepreneurs and as practitioners. But let's go to the manufacturing side of things. So Johan is also unmuted. So let's ask Johan to lead us into the discussion. I see Tobeka, you've indicated also that there's ways to answer. So let's hear from Johan first, and then we go on to Winston around manufacturing.
Hi, good morning, Christoph and the panel. I hope you're well.
We're doing great, thanks. We can hear you well.
Okay. So, yeah, it's actually a gap in the market that I've noticed. This family member is running a manufacturing business. He's getting a lot of contracts in, there's lots of work, but the downside is then you need to have cash flow. And if your business is less than 1 year, you don't have annual financial statements. So if you go to the bank, the first thing they they're worried about risk. So they won't lend you any money if it's risk. The options that's available through government sometimes takes very long. If you apply, by that time the business might be liquidated. So I don't know what
Yes.
other options is there. I think the angel investors are already tired by now.
Yeah. Especially hard manufacturing, they find difficult to support sometimes. Winston, does that relate to your question too?
Christopher, not well, yes and no. And quite frankly, I've been in the game since about 2009, and most of them I preferred when these guys actually just, and it's might be a bit of a cliche, but it's about pulling yourself up from your bootstraps. You know what I mean? What works for most of the entrepreneurs that I've dealt with is when they do start small and just build a little bit at the time, because as Johan correctly said, by the time the funding eventually comes through, you're bankrupt. That's the reality of the matter.
So
generally build working small, making a bit of profit all the time. That sort of thing has worked more in the past.
I see guys commenting there on Productivity South Africa and workplace, how support can be outside of finance specifically, perhaps, sort of in terms of other areas. See, Musa's hand is up. I just want to come to the panel quickly if there are thoughts that you want to share on assistance in manufacturing, even like you unphrased, sort of new businesses that are cash flow strapped and so on, or maybe more well-established ones that can get assistance around import replacement. Otherwise, we can ask Musa we'll allow you to talk. Musa, we can unmute you. You can talk, Musa.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. The gentleman who just spoke now, I just kind of missed his name, raises a good point around the delays in processing of applications, which as a former corporate banker, I can never understand. I mean, if I can cite an example for you, when I was in corporate banking across the Big Four, it took us no more than 2 hours to advance 10 million. In fact, I had a mandate of 10 million. I could do it in 2 hours. We could do it in committee up to 20 million, just 2 of us as well. We could give 50 million, 3 of us within 2 hours. Why does it take so long with your CIFA, IDC, etc.? It just doesn't make sense, because credit is credit. It's always premised on a 6-point plan, and if you've covered all the bases, your committees don't have to sit after 3 months. And I mean, I've seen this, because I also do a little bit of work around turnaround.
Yeah.
By the time they come
so,
to,
Musa, have you found that if there are certain things that an entrepreneur does, that a business does, that makes that process, even if it's a longer process through an IDC or CIFA than it does take in corporate finance, that makes it easier? Are there specific things that a business can do to make getting access to finance easier?
yes,
And perhaps we'll throw it out to the panel too, sort of. So let's talk about access to finance beyond manufacturing specifically. What can businesses do to make it easier for them to get access to finance? So let's start off with Musa, and then we'll come back to the panel.
it's all about compliance. So in effect, banks want all your money to go through them. There's something called kite flying, which means you move money from Nedbank to FNB. Banks don't want that. Put your money, if you are going to apply through, let's say FNB as an example, then put all the business takings through FNB. All your compliance documents must be in order. They are interested that you do pay your taxes, so you must be up to date. You must be up to date with your monthly management accounts.
Yes.
And the 3 years financial statements must be in order, because bankers always take the view that if you don't know, or if you don't have management accounts, you don't know whether you're going forward or backwards. You don't know whether you are breaking even, making a profit or loss. So by tracking it continually, it makes it easier. You submit at once, then you avoid the back and forth, so that you don't give them an excuse to say no. Thanks.
Yeah. No, that's really practical. I like the one that you mentioned around committing yourself to a specific financial institution as well. We don't think about that often, that the track record that you build up with them is something important that they can reflect back on. You know, if your track record sits somewhere else, they can't reflect on that. But let's hear, Zoliswa, do you want to comment on access? What can businesses do to make it easier for them to get access to finance, perhaps also in the context of the clients that you are dealing with?
Okay. I think it depends on the business owner to have all the necessary documents to be in place, because you will be delaying yourself if the checklist says you must have a business plan, bank statements or financial statements ready. And if you are going to take long, then it's going to delay you as well. Just have your documents ready all the time, so that maybe if it's one thing that is missing, it will be easier for you to get that one, so that everything will be fine.
Great, thanks. Any final comments from the other panelists? There's an interesting question that we still have 10 minutes for remaining. I think maybe if we can combine Guy's question around, you know, sort of why we should be considering employing someone rather than outsourcing. You know, sort of, it's not necessarily a question about creating jobs, because outsourcing also creates a job, you know, sort of, but it's the method of bringing the skills into the business. Why should employment be preferred, or in what situations should a small business rather plan to outsource some capacity? And then there was a related question from Mwabisa about minimum wage, and well, specifically to the Private Security Council and the impact of that on small businesses, you know, sort of. So if we can merge those two into a question around employment and how we can best plan as small businesses to add the skills into our businesses in an effective way that helps the business to grow. So Bonnie, do you have your hand up on that specifically, or is there something else that you want to address? You can talk.
It was around that issue of the finances.
Okay, so let's sort out the finances first, the last comment on finances, and then if any of the other panelists want to tackle the thing about employment, that's kind of going to be about what we can deal with today.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond regarding our collaboration with SEFA in preparation for the merger between SEFA, SEDA, and CBA. Because there's been that challenge that people come to SEDA to get, you know, all the preparatory work for them to be able to apply for finance from a SEFA, but when they get there, they don't get anything. So now we're working in collaboration with SEFA to develop a learning material on pre-investment support. That is a material that is going to serve as a guide to our small enterprises to what is it that you need to do, or what is it that the likes of SEFA are looking for in an application for finance. So I think that will come in very handy and assist our small enterprises, so that when they apply for finance, they know that everything is in order and what is it that needs to be there before submitting applications. And that's what we share.
Great, thanks, Bonnie. Yeah, I understand the financier that you're approaching and the requirements that they have, I suppose, is the golden rule. Let's go on to the employment issue and how small businesses can best plan to create the capacity to deliver what they need to do while dealing with things like bargaining councils and minimum wages and the options around outsourcing or appointing people permanently on staff or part-time on staff. So I'm not sure, let's throw it open to all three, Pumlani, Saneli Siwe and Zoliswa. Specifically, if there are perhaps examples of clients that you've dealt with that are facing these kind of employment issues. I also see, by the way, that in the Q&A, there's some questions that some of the people that have commented before can best answer. Please answer that in the text chat so we can share that information around where to go to for what. The practical questions around things like maybe an email address or a website address or something like that, we can use the text chat for. So who wants to tackle the question around employment versus outsourcing and all the issues we have to deal with around staffing?
Hello.
Pumlani. Oh, let's suddenly see where it can go first and then Pumlani.
Look, my response might not be in support of outsourcing, because I need to point out that one of government's priorities is to increase employment. And even myself here at SEDA, what we mainly focus on is the increase in employment. When we measure improvement in the business, that is what we look at, increase in turnover as well as the increase in employment. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying, that I understand that you might be thinking, that question might be coming, might be based on the circumstances that you are facing. I understand having to manage people, it's extra admin, employing people internally. There's legislation around that as well, labor laws that you need to comply with. But if answering that from a government perspective, we do need to increase employment. So yeah, I don't think you would get an answer that would favor not employing a person. Yeah, so I don't know. I know you might not be happy with my response, but I'm just pointing out that we must remember that government, one of government's priorities is to increase employment.
Yeah. So I think I don't read the question like that. As in create jobs versus not create jobs. Both scenarios create jobs. Because even if you outsource to someone else, there's a job created there. You know, someone is carrying. It's just that in the one scenario, the job is sitting under your business, and in the other scenario, the job is perhaps sitting in another business that you outsource to. So from the perspective of the entrepreneur, you know, sort of what are the things that we can consider? What are the advantages and disadvantages? I think this is why you mentioned one, which is that if it's not a core part of your business and you outsource it, you don't sit with the burden, the administrative burden of employing people, which would be an advantage. But then the disadvantage may be that you don't have access to that resource when you need it, perhaps, you know, sort of. So yeah. Pumlani, you had your hand up on this topic. It's a thorny one. It's not always so clear, eh?
But look, when it comes to, because now the issue of wages, and you're looking at your resources and your capabilities in your business. So if you are able to manage, like I mentioned earlier, you might look at it as a disadvantage if you're looking at the admin that you need to do, compliance, you know, just the time spent managing people. So if you have the resources and the capabilities, yes, definitely, I would encourage you to do that. But if you want to prioritize your business and it doesn't favor your business having to deal with managing people, having to deal with the issues that you deal with when people are in your employment, then yeah, so I don't think that there's a definite answer for that. It depends on the business, its capabilities, what issues are they dealing with the employees. Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes small businesses are more like families too. So there's a closer relationship between people, and those dynamics also has to play.
Definitely.
Pumlani?
Okay, thank you very much, Christopher. Again, I think the decision around whether to outsource or employ in like in the get the required skills that the business need on a permanent basis and be on the payroll of your business. The decision, I think it should be informed by in the capacity of the business in terms of do I have in the capacity within my employees to support what needs to be supported within the business. And then it should also inform to a larger extent by the cost benefit ratio. If I may quickly make an example, like for example, where we talk about the cost benefit ratio, like for example, like in the decision of outsourcing, it does not only relate to employing, it might relate to like in with other companies, maybe like you wanted to outsource the equipment. Maybe the decision would be that what would be the cost benefit if I'm buying that machinery on a full-time basis rather than outsourcing it like in that particular equipment. So it basically, the decision basically should be informed about should be taken on the basis of the cost benefit ratio. Basically, to say good like it, you need to look after it like firstly after the needs of your business in terms of being able to grow your business going forward. And when it comes to employee, you raised in the question in the question that we're tackling now, it also talks to the compliance regarding employment, regarding the minimum wage. So many of our SMMEs, when it comes to that, they are not compliant. And in most cases, for example, like in the SMMEs that are into tendering space, and you will find that, like most of their targeted customers, the government departments, mining, corporate companies, where like they outsource some of the services that they need. They're strictly in terms of their requirement that no, they're strictly in terms of their requirement to go to look. If you are to provide the services to our business, your employees the payment of your employees should strictly be in compliant with the minimum wage as it's legislated again on the department, on the government institution. So I'm saying that I'm putting this on this floor that in so many of our SMMEs, when it comes to that in the minimum wage compliance, they don't comply, and at some point it's one of the hindering challenge, if I may put it in challenge, maybe for them to be able to acquire contracts with the prospective customers.
So Pumlani, in a lot of instances, smaller businesses are exempted from the bargaining council rules.
I beg your pardon?
In many instances, many industries, the bargaining council minimum requirements do not apply to the small businesses, are not necessarily as severely affected by those requirements as the larger firms for some of the industries.
Yes, it's true. But in a case where maybe in a client is applying or is intending to apply for a contract, maybe with the mining company, the tender document, which one I had a case similar to the one that I'm talking about, that they put it as a strict requirement that should we appoint you, you need to commit that you will be paying your employees according to the minimum wage as it's stipulated on the act. Yeah.
Good. So if you don't, then you inhibit your own growth as well, because those opportunities will not become available. Exactly. So let's do this in wrapping up our discussion. The hour goes so fast. We can keep talking the whole Friday, I suppose. If we can do it in this order, Bonnie, if you can switch on your camera, and I don't know if you still want to comment on this topic or just wrap up for us, and then we'll go Zoliswa, Sanelisiwe and Pumlani. Before Tobeka, we'll ask you to give us our final Friday farewell for the weekend ahead. But Bonnie, if you can go first.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you, my colleagues, the partnership for the day and the event. And also thank you to the participants as well for having made it today. We know that you are busy, guys. We don't take your attendance for granted. We know that you really need us as much as we also need you. So thank you for spending your time and sharing your knowledge and skill with us. Because this is a two-way process, and as much as we are here to answer some of your questions, we're in the same vein in the process of learning as well. So we are very thankful of that and appreciative of your time. Have a blessed weekend and take care of yourself till we meet again. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Bonnie. Zoliswa, if you want to make a final comment, what you observed today, or some final message that you would want to leave with us?
No, I just wanted maybe to ask if maybe on the next session, we cannot have someone from SIFA so that maybe they can add value and share what is it that the clients need to have so that the processes can be faster for our SMMEs to get their approvals.
Yes, soon you may be one organization. So thank you very much for that, Soliswa. Zanelisiwe.
Hi. Look, this is my final comment. It's especially for startups. We usually take for granted the importance of planning for your business. And this is what I always talk about with entrepreneurs that come in here looking for funding, but they haven't, they're always looking for business plans, but just having a casual conversation with them, you can still see that there's so many that's lacking, because there's so many aspects that you need to consider when you're going to be going and applying for funding. So planning for your business is important. It doesn't start, it doesn't stop with just the business plan. You know, it's continuous. So have that approach, and you also, yeah, just keeping yourself informed about your industry. And yeah, I think that's it for now. So just, yeah, the planning part, as well as having a continuous approach to learning about the entrepreneurship journey that you're undertaking.
Yeah,
so
stay curious. Stay curious is a key entrepreneurial trait.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for reminding us about planning too. Kumlani?
Okay, thank you very much again, colleagues. I was happy, I'm happy to be part of this platform, and I'm looking forward to be part of it going forward, assisting our SMMEs within their space to grow. I think if I may quickly mention that I don't think that the issue of access to funding, that topic, that part was thoroughly in, we exhausted it thoroughly, because it was not like it's not like in that the clients or we don't have the knowledge of what documents that are required, but it was more like I was hoping maybe we will address it from the angle to say in the turnaround times, which in it's the common, maybe in the common issue that we encounter, where maybe the client he got a contract and he needs to deliver, but then they respond from the funding institution where we refer the application. It does not come on time, and by the time we get the response, the client maybe had already lost the contract. I think maybe on our next session, I think we need to go back and thoroughly exhaust that question thoroughly. Thank you very much.
Right, or perhaps there's scope for a specific theme for a training event that we can ask Bonnie and them to organize. If you do take suggestions, Bonnie, on events, seems there is one. It's always one, sort of for entrepreneurs, and access to the information that we can share with them. But thanks, Pumlani, for reminding us about that too. Let's ask Tobeka we are already over our time with 6 minutes. Let's ask Rebecca to end our session off. Final observations. Mute Bonnie, or where's the noise coming from? Bonnie, you want to raise the last point before we say goodbye? Your hand is still up. Old hand.
Old hand, yeah.
We lower your hand. Old
Yeah.
hands get lowered. Rebecca, over to you.
No, it's so good for us to all be here. It was a good session, a lot to think about. But what I would like to leave with you all is, remember, as much as we look out into what's happening around us, we need an internal observation at the same time, because our conditioning, who we are, how we show up, can impact what's happening on the outside. So it's a two-way street. It's a continuous journey. And I usually have this little picture. I don't know if I can quickly share that. You do an external observation of the world, but it's also important. No, I can't do it now. It's fine. But it's also important to look at what's happening on the outside. And have a good week. Have a good weekend. Take care of yourself. And remember, this body is not here just to carry our brains, but this body is here to carry our hearts, our emotional selves, and not just our intellectual. And good luck with your endeavor, and connect with everyone else who's like-minded like you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for reminding us about that. Thanks, Rashida, for organizing things there in the background always. Sanelisiwe, it looks like you want to send us on a good weekend.
Not really. I just wanted to encourage our entrepreneurs to, so it's SEDA, I think I spoke about the assessment earlier. That is very, very important. Even if you end up not getting assistance from SEDA, but that part of our process is so important, because as an entrepreneur, you are so focused on your day-to-day operations, and you don't really have time. We're talking about planning, we're talking about legislation. You know, you don't really get time to think about these things and try to incorporate those into your day-to-day activities. So go into a SEDA branch and request for an assessment to be done for you. Trust me, it is going to be beneficial, because it helps you look at all aspects of your business, your finances, your HR, your marketing, your operations. So if you do that, it will just give you an opportunity to really have an overall look of everything that's going on in your business. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for reminding us about that too. There's a whole ecosystem of support available to us. It's about that curiosity to find out which is best for you. And I know SEDA is one of the starting points for many. So please do that. If there's a question or a comment, you can email us at info@bizclinic.co.za. If you want to have a reminder about the next sessions happening, you can join the WhatsApp group. For some, that's easier. Otherwise, if you do register now that you've been here, we can send you the email to remind you too. Yeah, from my side, from the partners, IBASA, SEDA, and the Entrepreneurial Planning Institute, we say have a great weekend. If you can find some good rest to look after that body over the weekend and connect with the family and friends a bit, that would be great too. But otherwise, we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. I shared a little quote.
I see in the chat there's some sharing of contact details and so on. If you wanted to share, there's a question to Johan about the academy you referred to. If you can pop in the details there, you can see it there. We'll keep the room open for a moment more so you can copy those over. As soon as we stop the event, that little bit of information will disappear too. So bye-bye, everyone. Stay well. Have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you. Thank you, Putboni. Sure, Putte. Thanks, Sanelisiwe. Thanks, Mercy. Christoph. Bye, everybody. Keep warm.
Cheers, everybody. Thank you.